Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I am Vandana and I am going to be your host for today. Today there'll be two speakers with me, Srinivas and Balasaheb. And here I am bringing you the session from India, Bangalore. And our speakers are in different parts of India. That's why it's DevSecOps India. You can post all your questions in the chat box. Today we have diverse topic around AI-powered DevSecOps and cloud. And today, both the speakers are very well versed with the topic, and as well as they have great amount of experience. So without further ado, I'm going to bring them on, and then we'll go one by one with the presentation. So let's me bring. Hi, Srinivas. Hi, Bala.
Hi, Vandana. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much for joining me today. I am good. How are you?
Yeah, doing good.
Great. So what we'll do is today we will go with Srinivas first, and then we will go with Bala. And so the first topic would be around AI-powered DevSecOps. And what we will do is I will go ahead and introduce Bala, and we can get started with our first session. Great. So about Srinivas, Srinivas has over 14 years of experience, in identity and access management, and he's been working with Wells Fargo for a while now. But I would let him speak more about himself, talking about CISSP and whatnot, and AI-powered DevSecOps. So I would let you talk more about it, and let me bring your presentation as well on the screen. Over to you, Srinivas.
Yeah, sure. First of all, it's great to meet you, Vandana, on a DevSecOps platform this evening. And thanks for giving such a wonderful introduction. So good evening to all the folks who are joining from India and all the international people who are joining. Good afternoon, or good evening, and good morning to all of you. I highly appreciate each one of you who are joining us today. So, hi all, this is Srinivas Vungarala. I'm working in Wells Fargo, Bangalore as software engineering manager. And I have close to 14 years of experience in identity and access management, purely on the security side. And I have CISSP certifications and all and cloud-based certifications in my kitty. So below is my QR code where you can connect me with my LinkedIn. I'll be happy to get connected with you all. So without delaying much, let me step into my topic today. As Vandana mentioned, it's AI-powered DevSecOps and how it is revolutionizing security and efficiency. So let me move to my first slide where I'll be covering the agenda for today, where I will be introducing how can an organizations can use AI-powered DevSecOps in their organization for building efficiency in software development. I would also be discussing about various benefits and challenges of implementing such a transformative technology. So before I begin to my next slide, I would like to ask from the audience if how many of you are familiarized with DevSecOps. Probably, I assume since you are in DevSecOn conference, you must be well versed, and you can reply me with chat, and you can interact with me by saying yes or no. So probably, with the interest of people who are little new to DevSecOps, I would like to cover that in brief and then go to my agenda, which I have discussed. So let me start with what is DevSecOps. Most of you would have heard this DevSecOps very commonly. That is a popular buzzword now, right? So DevSecOps is a software development approach that combines development, security, and operation bundled together. Basically, it integrates the security practices and principles throughout the software development lifecycle. I think that's a simply put, what DevSecOps mean. So probably I would like to ask a question to an audience. How many are familiar with this quote, which is very common in DevSecOps? And can you name a person who has mentioned this quote? The quote goes by, the only thing more dangerous than a developer is a developer conspiring with security. Isn't it? Any idea? Let the chat window pop up and you can answer back. I know most of would be knowing who are very familiar words in the DevOps community. This quote was shared by Jenny Kim. He's the famous founder member of DevOps community who is a very active and contributed in DevOps community. He's also the founder of Tripwire. So, how many of you feel how true it is, right? Security for any organization has become very critical in current digital world, isn't it? Now, let me bring back your focus on the DevSecOps back. Since what I see is some of them are newbies with 2 years, let me give a brief introduction on how the DevOps and DevSecOps have been put up. The goal of a DevSecOps is to build a secure and rapidly efficient softwares, and mostly that has been done with a shared responsibility model. There are mainly few key principles by which DevSecOps work. One, I think, most common is shift left. That's the buzzword, right? Shift left mainly emphasizes early continuous integration of security practices into software development processes, starting from planning, design stages. By shifting left, security is integrated from the outset of the development cycle. It is very much essential for any organization to build security uh, adopted practices, best principles in their software development cycle. Because any bug which is found at later stage of it results in too much cost to a company, isn't it? Second thing, which is a key principle for DevSecOps, is collaboration. Ultimately, all this happens with a collaborative mindset between development teams, operation team, and then the important the security team. Most of us will be saying why security, right? But over a period of time in the digital world, security has become the primary thing. Let it not just in the eyes of CISO or CTO, even CEOs and current time zones after pandemic have understood the importance of digital and many transformations are happening. Let it be retail, banking, all are moving into digital world. So there is a evident business need to do things faster, and faster means you need to adopt collaboration, isn't it? Next thing, the third one is automation. Heavily automation is very much essential for DevSecOps. Probably that's a common theme which you all would connect with. Automation is very much necessary to reduce the manual errors when in deployments or in any other phases. And the fourth one, which I can think of, is security monitoring. And that too, it should be a continuous security monitoring, right? Let's Nowadays threats are very dynamic in nature. How many of you must know it just took a 24 hours for a war to start in Russia. A civil war started in no time. How could is organization survive without monitoring these things and collaborating so well? So it is very much necessary that we are continuously monitoring our systems. And the last and final thing, uh, which I would say, is DevSecOps is not just a technology; it's a culture change within an organization. So that's why actually reaping the benefit of that, you need to bring the culture change within the company. So now, having discussed the key themes, now I would like to share quickly the benefits of DevSecOps, which will set me a context on how to implement them in AI. So basically, quickly to say, first thing is enhance security. That must be the first thing which any company needs. Second thing, which any organization in CEO level wants you to do, faster time to market because of your business needs. So integrating security, early part of it, makes you deliver the software at much faster and secure manner. The third benefit which I can think of is continuous improvement. Probably in CI/CD approaches, there are n number of places where something can break in your system, and you may have to fix the pipeline. So iteratively, your DevSecOps team should collaborate and work on continuously improving those CI/CD deployments. Now, ultimately, the fourth one is what many leaders will be interested: cost efficiency. Ultimately, any organization wants to implement security with cost efficiency, that is ROI. That can happen if you have automation in place. And ultimately, increased collaborations can happen with DevSecOps. That could be one of the benefits. But having discussed these benefits now I'd like to set the context for our next agenda item. What are the actual challenges any organization is facing today by implementing DevSecOps? One of the major challenge when I talk to many of my industry peers is one thing: balancing speed and security. I think most of you would be able to understand, right? Most of the leaders want things to be faster, and but they need it to be safety and secure. So DevSecOps has that challenge. Even though they are able to development is faster, more deployed, but the balancing of act between speed and security has become a major challenge. If we are rushing towards faster development, that can result into vulnerabilities or any threats. So that balancing act has become very much important. So I do understand the pain of developers, right? So that's why I often say to my team also, developers are being recognized as jack of all trades now. They are supposed to do bits and pieces of everything. They should know infrastructure as code, configuration as code, chef, Ansible, what not. But that has become the order of the day, right? I think most of the developers can understand uh, the real punch, how much uh, expectations have risen over a period of time through these automations. Second thing is legacy systems and processes. Even though we have evolved into so much of DevSecOps and approaches, there are still few legacy processes or tools which an organizations are using, which are still not being automatable with CI/CD deployment. I think mainframes, whatnot, right? And the third one is human errors. Humans are prone to do mistakes, and from there, only way we can improve is bringing up something like cool and artificial intelligence, which can save our day. Having said this context, now let me go to my next slide where I'll be the setting the context on how to implement AI and DevSecOps. See, probably everyone knows AI is a cool technology and everyone has to implement it. But every company and organization has a budget to implement these things. Ultimately, CFOs in the company are interested in knowing ROIs for the implementation of project. So these are some of the best principles, our guiding principles, which we can use for implementing AI in DevSecOps. There is an evident need for organization to speed up. All these days, uh, all were interested in automatic the operation part of it. But now, with the advent of code generators like chat GPTs, bots, code generators like Amazon uh, code whispers, developers job of writing code is also been eased in such a extent that development time is also reduced. So in this scenario where development is also been reducing, you need not write codes from scratch. There is an evident need for using AI for finding vulnerabilities in your code. So that helps organization to speed up the development because you are competing with a niche organization or startups where they are ready to implement this type of cool technologies upfront by taking the risk. But a organizations where risk has to be mitigated or managed well, it is very much essential that we follow these guideline principles. So let me go to the first implementation of best principles one has to use or think about before implementing AI DevSecOps. First thing is identifying a use case. Any organizations would be interested in implementing a use case which is easy and having a better ROI, and there is a better time of value. That is what Agile is teaching us, right? So it is very much essential to understand that use case in your organization, which is a low hanging fruit for you to achieve. Probably there are n number of places where you can implement that AI. For example, anomaly detections, vulnerability scanning, threat intelligence, or incident response. But among this, which is one use case which you want to show to your CISO to get the budget for you for the quarter or a year? With this, I would like to go to my second key consideration: data collections and pre processing. Gathering a relevant data from various sources such as logs, security events, code repository is is okay, but pre-processing them to adopt to your AI algorithm is very much essential, because if you don't cleanse your data which is specific to your organization or your use cases, you will not get that better output from a AI algorithm. So that is the first and the second thing which is very important. The third one is the AI algorithm itself. Choosing an appropriate AI algorithm based on the identified use cases which you have done in a step one will give you a better result, and adopting to the data or pre-processed data which you have done. Probably you can choose random forest, decision tree, deep learning techniques, or neural networks. It all depends on how is your data, what is your use case, and how much risk appetite your organization is willing to take. The last in this left column is train AI model. Having utilized the collected data and selected the algorithm, now you may implement a supervised learning or unsupervised learning based on which algorithm you choose, and ultimately what your business wants you to implement at what time duration. That all considers, on basis of that you train your system. With this, I move on to the fifth point, is integration with DevSecOps. Probably having integrated with the DevSecOps pipeline is very much important, right? Most of the organizations would think implementing an AI technology is something needs a niche skill, right? But today, with this talk, I want to share there are enough vendors which provide vulnerability scan tools, SaaS, DaaS, which you can implement. And there are also cloud-based uh, vendors who provide this to clients which are startups or mid-size, who don't want to invest on their in-house AI team on that. With this, even though we are going to discuss this in detail, but I set the context here. It's not about you write your ML algorithm and do it. You can still use the tools which are available in market. And ultimately, it's continuous monitoring and feedback. AI algorithms will work with more data and more training, and ultimately it's a cyclic loop, improvement. That's essential on that. The last and final thing which any organization is very much concerned with AI, and most of you would have seen, whosoever refers, many of the industry is worried about privacy and ethics consideration while implementing AI in their organization. Obviously, that is one of the difficult subject which everyone are facing. We would be dealing this in the later part of site, but yeah, you have to consider this, because what type of data are GDPR data you are touching and implementing your AI algorithm is very much essential to do business on those geographical areas, right? With this, I would like to move to my next slide, where I'm gonna discuss on the benefits of using AI-powered DevSecOps. I think having discussed the challenges of DevSecOps, now most of you would have been connected with how we will be able to have benefits from these technologies. Most of the organizations are willing to put their money to detect vulnerability detection module. Probably if you use a AI based vulnerability detection or remediation tool, you are better equipped to handle vulnerabilities even faster. Imagine in a scenario, if chat GPTs can write your codes, why can't you think of finding vulnerabilities of the code which is generated by an AI through a tool which is AI based? Second thing, which is important benefit of AI implementation of DevSecOps, is improves accuracy. AI enabled tool improves accuracy and and they purely don't depend on the signature based. One of the common problem is until the signature is updated by the vendor and you come and upgrade in your system, until that the new vulnerability is not available for you to find out. So it is very much essential that you choose a right tool which is future ready, so that you leap forward and you utilize this AI trend. The next thing is enhance scalability and efficiency. Of course, if something is happening in one part of area, you need the information to pass on. Most of your headcount or employees are busy in finding that information and getting you this. But imagine if AI algorithm across the world is able to speak in one language and share those information, and there will be definitely enhanced scalability and efficiency, because people will be concentrating on the new strategic initiative within your organization, and which will help you better adopt to the future changes. And ultimately, the last one is reduce human error. Probably in any of scenarios where we have discussed previously, there are enough challenges of human doing mistake. Those type of things can be avoided by using an AI model. So with this, I move on to the next slide, where I'm going to discuss how AI plays a crucial role in DevSecOps by enhancing security practices. There are key roles where AI is being implemented. Based on what I have seen on various organizations, most of them are comfortable in using automated vulnerability tools for doing it. But few advanced niche areas are anomaly and threat detections, which I mentioned you, right? A behavior pattern within a large set of data is very difficult to be found by an ordinary software, because there are necessary upgrades have to be done. But the similar behavior pattern, which is AI based and self learning mode, is the order of the day. Second thing is continuous monitoring. And I have spoken enough of it in whenever retailers go for a sale and it's a Black Friday sale. How many of you must be knowing how difficult it would be job for that security? They have sleepless nights, right? Imagine if you have a AI based threat intelligence module which can give you real time information, that will make security teams life even easier. I think most of the retailers are using these things and they are reaping benefit of it. So with this, I would like to move on to my next slide where I'm going to discuss the organizations which are using this AI in DevSecOps. Most of you could have thought whatever is been discussed till now could be of conceptual nature. But with this slide, I would like to reiterate that this disruption has already begun and some of the companies are already been able to get benefit out of it. These may not be the exhaustive list of companies where AI being used, but definitely these are few sample. And I'm gonna cover in brief about the companies. The first one, Netflix. I think most of you know Netflix. Netflix has integrated AI into their DevSecOps practices to improve their security operation. They are a very lean team because they work in that fashion. They can't they can't have a larger security team to do their work. Their major business revenues are films and streaming business, right? They can't they have to be niche in this area. So they use the machine learning algorithm and detect the anomalies in user accounts, network traffic, system logs. This definitely helps in potential security threat and responding them more effectively. Probably they may be using a mix of own product and or competency, but it depends on the risk of a company, as I always suggested previously. Second one is Capital One. Capital One also leverages AI in their DevSecOps pipeline for vulnerability management. They use automated scans to identify the potential vulnerabilities. With this, the next one, Microsoft. As I was earlier suggesting, companies which can't afford to have a niche AI team within can go for a vendor based provided tools or a cloud vendor. Microsoft has is the correct suit for that. Microsoft has implemented AI techniques in their Azure DevOps and security offerings. They use threat intelligence, anomaly detection, behavior based analysis to improve their security and identify potential attacks in real time. So, probably any organization which is a startup base can look for using these tools and for a better ROI, right? The next one is the IBM. I think most of you would be remembering one cool thing which IBM released probably before the pandemic, near to the pandemic time. It's IBM Watson AI platform. It was in news for a lot of reasons, right? Basically, that platform is leverage for automated security analysis and decision making processes. I think IBM is offering these things to other companies and organization, and companies are getting a lot of benefit of it. The last and final thing is Google. I think most of you know Google is niche in this AI area, and probably they are ahead of most of the peers in the group, right? So basically, they leverage this machine learning algorithms for anomaly detection, malicious activity, detecting potential vulnerabilities, and whatnot. They are using AI everywhere, and they are having the niche engineers to implement that solution in house and getting very much benefited for catching up the trend. Maybe they are the leaders in that front, and probably people are catching up to it. With these examples, what I would like to put it simple is it is very much essential. Companies have adopted it, but you have to see what best suits for you. So with this, I would move to my next slide, which I've been discussing, that you need not worry about building your own team. There are enough AI DevSecOps vendors which can help you in this journey. Probably this is not a marketing place where I'm telling you these are the recommended products or something, but this is few products which I came across, and I'm just sharing you as an informational purpose. So Sync is offering their DevSecOps platform that integrates AI for vulnerability management. It basically uses AI algorithm to identify and prioritize vulnerabilities in their open source libraries or in container, people who are in cloud native, and even in the code repository. Second tool which I think is Aqua Security. Aqua Security provides container security solution with a built-in AI capability. It uses algorithm for behavior profiling, anomaly detection, and threat intelligence. So basically, it is using a containerized application and finding out development and vulnerabilities from beginning to the end of the life cycle. The third one is in my list is Fortify. I think many of you would be familiarized with this tool also. So basically, it is using AI in their static and dynamic application security testing platform. As I mentioned, most of the vendors are giving their niche product in vulnerability management place. That is a common theme based on what I have gone through till date. So JFrog is the other one which I would like to cover. It is also providing the same vulnerability scanning, detection, and it is also doing providing the niche areas where software packages and dependencies can also be vulnerabilities can be formed in those. And the last two are shift left and rapid insight. Those are also providing SAST. Shift left is providing SAST tool in their AI capability, and Rapid 7 is also providing DAS tool. So with this, I would go to my most important slide, where I am gonna say that there are a lot of challenges of implementing this, and one is ethical and privacy is one of the major reason, right? Basically, ethical aspect and privacy fairness is very biggest challenge for any AI. Probably if you are using an algorithm which is a bias, who can help you? So it is very much important for an human to get involved to reduce those biases. So that's why most of the AI conferences where you attend, this is one of the risk. The second thing is data privacy. With this AI algorithm, we tend to collect a lot of data, and there are a lot of restrictions in collecting those data and how we use them. This is one of the critical places where we should have a data governance in this one. The third is need of skilled person. Of course, AI is very niche skill. Getting people from market is very difficult for a ordinary mid-sized companies. So it is very much essential and challenging for getting the skill. These are few of the challenges which I would suggest any organization has to. And the last and final thing is ROI, which I've been telling you. It may be a cool technology, but whether it is reaping benefit for you with the amount of money spent on this. So of course you need to take decisions on basis of that. So with this, I come to the conclusion where I would like to put it simply in one word. Remember that AI is not a silver bullet to solve all your problem. Basically, it should complement existing security practices and human expertise rather than just replacing it. So, with this, I would say use all the best principles which I have shared and select which use cases you can make it happen and implement your AI DevSecOps. With this, I would like to thank each one of you to patiently listening to me. And with this, I hand over to Vandana. Thanks, Vandana.
Thank you so much, Srinivas. It was really great. I actually checked the chat box. There are few people who asked about the demo, that if there are any demo plans planned for this session. I've told them there is no demo plan for the session. But yes, we have our next session by Balasaheb. He would be giving demos. But you can actually check the DevSecOn Discord community as well. If there are, actually, I checked, there were no question, but I'm sure there are people who are shy who reach out to you later on. So join the DevSecOn community over Discord, as well as people will reach out to you over LinkedIn or Twitter. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you. Now I'm going to go ahead and get our next speaker, Bala Sahib. Hi, Bala. Yeah. Good evening, Bala. And Bala, let me share something about Bala. So Bala have been working with Qualys, and he has over a decade and a half of experience. He's been working in cloud security and many other domains. But I'm gonna just let him speak more about himself. Over to you, Bala.
For having me and I've been last 9 plus years, and Vandana mentioned, right? I spent a lot of time with web application security, cloud and container security, primarily working on. So yeah, production. So I can get started with a
Bala,
slide deck.
your voice is not
Yes.
fine. It's breaking up a lot. There's some static.
Okay.
When we started off in the beginning, the static was not there. Maybe it's because of AirPods or sometime it happens, but your voice is breaking up.
Can you hear me now? Or
Yes, it is still static. Yes. Voice is very dragging.
okay.
It's like you're
Let
speaking on a
me.
low note.
Okay. Let me. Uh, phones, right? So give me a second. Hey. Hi Vandana. Can you hear me now? Is it better than
No,
before?
no, there is still some
Still
static.
some static. How is it? Okay. I'm with the same setup.
Can you turn off your video?
Um,
Could be the bandwidth issue.
bandwidth issue.
No, 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 Bala. Can you
No, no,
refresh and
no,
come
no,
back?
Bala. Sure. I can refresh on the second.
All right. So while Bala comes back, actually his voice was fine because we tested in the beginning and we also tested his presentation. But what we can do is while he's coming back, let's talk about where are you joining me from today? Are you all from India? Which part of India you are from? All right, Bala is back.
Hey, Vandana. Hi. Good evening
Oh,
again.
yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Amazing.
Yeah. I think.
Yes, it,
Okay.
it works perfect. It's magical now. Let's go
Okay.
ahead and share your screen. So I
Sure.
asked everyone, where are you joining from? Generally, I ask this question whenever I'm in a session because I get to know that which part of India you're joining from. Like Somain is joining me from New Delhi, and Somain is one of our sneak ambassadors as well. And
Wow,
I know him for a while now. Amazing person.
amazing. Okay.
And
Good
we
to know.
also have Satish. All right. You can share your screen and
Sure.
then I'll bring it on.
Hmm.
Oh, Satish is joining from California. Very nice. Glad to have you here. Okay. Bala, you can share your screen.
Yeah. I'm trying to share this.
Yeah. There was a question, will the slide deck be shared maybe as a PDF? Yes, Somen, we will share the slide deck as a PDF.
Give me a second.
Yeah, yeah. Take your time. We're here. Any questions for Srinivas from the chat while Bala is getting his slides up? Okay. I'll consider it as a no, but then we would for sure share Srinivas slides with you all. And yes, one interesting thing I want to say that if you want to speak, make sure you fill out the CFP for DevSecOn India, and you can speak at next month event as well. Is there any issue?
Looks like it's not coming up. Let me.
You can click on present and then present share screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Give me a second. I think we.
Sure.
I tried that somehow. Some of the configuration is not.
That's fine. You can wait. You can share your screen.
For a quick check, you can see, but the empty tab, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes, I can see your empty tab. Yes.
Okay. And
Nobody else can see, but I see in the background. So once you get your presentation in, yes, I will share. I'll get it. Yeah, right now I can see this empty tab.
only
So only, yeah, you're only sharing one page. So you need to share your full screen, entire screen.
somehow that is kind of not working. Looks like surprising for me.
So when you click on present, there are three tabs: Chrome tab, Windows, and entire screen. When you click on entire screen and click on select the window and click on share, it will automatically share your whole screen.
That's what actually I tried.
Hmm.
Yeah, even window is not working. Somehow only the. Okay.
Yeah. If there are any issues, you can send me the presentation.
Yeah, I think, and meanwhile we can figure it out during demo.
Yeah,
What? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can share your presentation. These are some technical difficulties that happen.
I'm sending over here, right? Under the present. Uh, there is an option
Yes,
to send files as well, right? So I'm using that.
right. You can
Should be
send.
fine.
Okay, let's see if I get it. Yes, I can see your slide.
Okay, that's good. Uh, should I get
So
started?
actually, yeah, you can only present, like you can move around.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, hi everyone. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. My name is Balasaheb Salunke. I think I introduced myself, but yeah, we can directly jump onto the topic of today, right? And today we are planning to cover container or cloud artifact signing with Notary V2 and Cosign, right, for a trust and integrity. This is it's Before we jump into the details, I just wanted to set the context. So here, what we are going to cover is what the signing means, right? What and how how it is important for a secure software supply chain, right? As well as we are going to go over some of the demos, right? How we can use uh, Notary V2 or cosign to sign the container images and push to the registry, right? I might have uh, I would be having slides, but we will be having demo and working session on the signing of the container images, right? So let me get started with what is signing, right? I mean, that's kind of a basic for today, and we need to understand that, right? Definitely most of the folks here must already be aware about it, but just to set the context, and I wanted to reiterate on some of the fundamentals, right? So what the artifact signing means, right? So there are different type of artifacts are there in the cloud that we need to use and ship across the infrastructure, right? Some of the artifacts that I can tell about is container images, Helm chart, or the SBOM related to the container images and whatnot, right? So these are all artifacts that needs to be moved around infrastructure for the different team to utilize it, right? Whether it's a container images traveling around from build to QA to production, and the Helm chart and the same journey, right? So what the exact signing means, right? So we have a let's say we have an artifact, let's say a container image or a Helm chart, right? If that the content of that, we need to create the hash of out of that content, right? And that content can be encrypted using a private key, which generates the signature for that artifact, right? So that's kind of creating or signing that artifact, we can say, right? And this is on the producer side, right? Whoever creating these artifacts, who want to make sign that artifact, they have to use this private key and encrypt the content hash so that that can be validated on the user side, right? So what is the story on the user side, right? How this signed artifact needs to be checked, right? Needs to be validated, right? So what the end user has is the artifact, right? And the signature of this artifact, which is encrypted using a private key, right? So end user has to compute the hash, which is the content hash of that artifact, right? Also use the signature of that artifact and decrypt using the public key provided by the authority or the entity who encrypted and create the signature for that artifact. And if both of these two matches, that's where the validation of signature uh, complete finishes the process, right? Now, you know, if we want to understand what is, I mean, we understood what the signing is, right? Basically, using encryption technique to generate a signature so that will be validated when the artifacts travel from source to destination, right? Now, there are multiple reasons why signing is needed, correct? And right from authentication, integrity, provenance, and whatnot, right? So if you want to dive deep, so what this authentication, right? Basically, it tells us that we are using the right artifact, right? The artifact from the right source. There are many techniques already explored, uh, and by the malicious user to change some of the metadata of an artifact, and the user would end up into using a malicious artifact than the one that is built and delivered by the source, right? Integrity is something, is the key, right? Whatever we are building or having at the source needs to be, it should not be tampered when it gets delivered to the end user, right? So that's where the integrity uh, is useful, right, and needed to make sure that the 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 secure delivery of the software artifact, right? Provenance is something you can have a additional metadata related to artifacts, right? And that can be validated using the signing technique, right? There should be uh, a responsibility to the artifact that the person or the team who built that artifact needs to honor, right, when it gets delivered, right? And apart from that, there are multiple uh, need for having signed artifact from the compliance perspective, from supply chain security related as well, right? One of the example I wanted to give the real time example is like when we are planning, or when we are trying to purchase anything for ourselves, we first check what is the source of this this entity, right? And whether it is original from where it was produced, right? For example, you're planning to buy a car, right? You don't go and buy a car on a untrusted or non-authorized seller, right? You go to an authorized seller, as well as you keep a check whether all the things that are there are are genuine, right? Is there any duplicate parts installed into that car, right? So that's kind of a analogy I wanted to use here, right? Where where it comes to the artifact signing, all those things needs to be considered for the integrity and the trust of source of the artifact, right? And it also builds the confidence for the end user, saying, okay, I can be assured that the artifacts that I am using are coming from the trusted source, are not tampered, right? So eh, going to the next slide, it it boils down to the primary two things why this signing is needed, right? One is trusted source, to know the trusted source, and the entity or the artifact that users are using is coming from the trusted source. No one wants to use the packages or the software from unknown entity, right? Even knowingly or unknowingly. So that's very important need for having signed artifact. Another need is to have check on the integrity of the artifact, right? Whatever we are receiving needs to be as it was produced or generated at the source. Any tampering could cause a lot of security issues, and we cannot, I mean, anyone, no one wants to use tampered data, right? So integrity of the artifact is very important. So going to the next session, I just wanted to set up some context on both, I mean, the signing and validation of the signed artifact is at the end is based on some of the foundation we already have, right? And not necessarily the foundations that are there are getting used as it is, right? It needs to be modified and adapted to support the new use cases, right? But just wanted to go over the web PKI, which is public key infrastructure, right? And how the use of PKI in a different way can be done or is being implemented to sign the cloud artifacts, right? So in general, when we look at the web PKI, right? So you have the web server, let's say example.com, right? That you are serving more secure channel, which is HTTPS, right? And to validate and to make the secure connection with this, you need to have a TLS setup, right? And a client will reach out to the brow to the server to make sure that it is reaching to a correct appropriate server, right? And the communication between the client and server is encrypted, right? So what in general the flow is, right? When you run the secure web server, you request for the root certificate, right? Or the server certificate, which and that server certificate is provided by root CA authorities, right? You provide your public key, and they will provide you the uh, server certificate, right? Definitely, there are more nuances to this. I am not going over details, right? Just wanted to give a brief. There is a web PKI which is kind of a uh, base for signing the cloud artifact as well, right? And if you look at here, a client uses the root cert provided by the well-known authorities to validate the server certificate, right? So that's kind of a base I wanted to set to go ahead and explore the cloud artifact signing, right? Let me go the so there are two right now. There are multiple ways to sign an artifact. uh, two major signing ways we are going to cover today, right? One is notary v2, and I just wanted to add a disclaimer saying we are or I will not be suggesting or in emphasize on which one is better and not. We will just explore both of the signing approach, and uh, I would let a use case define which one is better based on the use case, right? So notary v2 is recently um, having a lot of attentions and getting implemented and used by many vendors, right? Before jumping into the notary v2, I just wanted to give a quick note on notary v1, right? Because this is the, I think, uh, earliest signing options we had. Docker Content Trust was built based on Notary v1 or Notary, you can say, and it had a lot of components, moving components, right? You need to have a Notary service running, your metadata goes to the notary service, your image goes to the registry, and whatnot, right? So there are multiple dependencies when we wanted to sign an artifact, right? The notary service needs to be up and running all the time and whatnot. So uh, so from that, considering those limitations, so notary v2 come up as uh, a recent project on the uh, as an open source, right? And there is a lot of development happening on that side, and it is still many features are getting added, right? But some of them uh, are 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 ready to explore and use, right? If we talk about the major adoption, we can see ECR registry and ACR Azure Container Registry as well, using and supporting the Notary V2 based signing, right? So that being said, I wanted to go over uh, a quick demo where I can have it. I'm running a local registry and wanted to sign an image and show it how we can use the tools provided by Notary V2 to sign these container images. So let me share my uh, terminal so that I can go over the demo part. Let me see if I can. Give me a second.
Bala,
Hey,
we can't see your terminal.
yeah, I'm trying to pull the terminal. I think the slide deck is only visible now, right?
Right.
Not the terminal. Yeah.
No.
Let me try once. I think the configuration is doesn't allow me to share. Looks like.
Uh, can you stop sharing and then share again?
Sure. I think I'm sharing the slide deck here only. So, uh,
Right, but there is no. Okay.
but that, yeah, it's working. The slide deck, which is uploaded to uh, the the, the streaming platform, right?
Yeah. This
But
one, Six Door Foundation.
yeah. So this is there. Yeah, slide deck is there. Terminal is something I wanted to share to go over the uh, demo or tryout. Yeah. Uh,
Right. Can you click on share screen?
I did on the present, and then on the system preference, I'm trying to.
There is a question.
Mhm.
Can you elaborate on some real world scenarios or incidents where the lack of artifact signing and verification led to security vulnerabilities or compromised uh, cloud environments?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think we as a general principle, right? As a security, one of the principle we in general we go ahead with assume um, assume breach or assume exposure principle, right? Where we expect not all the things are um, everything could be uh, exploitable, right? We go ahead with that mindset, right? Even though many security measures are in place, right? For an example, we have a build system where we build the artifacts, right? And we that push to the some container registry, right? Let's say a internal container registry or the production container registry, correct? Now we assume here that the credentials for the container registries are I mean the container registry is secure, right? But still the credentials for those registries are shared, in general shared across organization, right? And a malicious user, if get access to the credentials to this Docker registry, the image could get tampered or could get injected with the malicious code, right? Because one of the entry point nowadays for supply chain security is the developer, right? Is the employee for an organization. I mean, that's kind of a one of the entry point a malicious actor can use, right? And not necessarily it could be a intentional, it could be a non-intentional exposure of that registry credentials could cause a tampering of the container images, which which will have a domino effect, saying that the malicious image will get deployed into the production, saying it is coming from the trusted source, right? Because there is no validation between the source and the destination. So I hope uh, I was able to answer uh, Satish's question, if I'm not pronouncing it wrongly. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's try one more time. If we can share the screen. If not, then probably you can send me the demo later on and I can share it with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like the terminal is not getting shared somehow. Only the I can see only the Chrome tabs are getting shared.
No
I,
problem.
I wish I could open the terminal in Chrome browser. So yeah,
No issues. Let's take the last question before we end the session. So, alongside the technical aspects, are there any regulatory or compliance considerations that organizations should be aware of when implementing cloud artifact signing?
yeah. Absolutely. I think a great question, right? And we must be. I think you must be knowing about software chip supply chain framework, or let's say one is Salsa, right? Supported by Google and many organization, where we wanted to implement uh, a framework, right, for the secure supply chain, correct? So there are multiple different levels to these supply chain security, and in one of the level, it expect that the artifacts to be signed, which are getting delivered and getting deployed, right? So definitely signing an artifact will help from compliance perspective, as well as from achieving the software supply chain security framework levels as well. So okay, um, yeah. So can I go ahead with the yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, okay, thanks. So I think demo part. Apologies for not able to share. I will record the sessions and share with Vandana. So yeah. So going to the next slide, right? About six store, right? And six store or cosign, we can call it. Cosign is kind of a CLI tool, and six store is a complete ecosystem that supports signing artifact, right? And I just wanted to quickly um, go over the foundation of six store, right? Six store, and how signing works in case of six store, right? If you look at the workflow, there are three main entity here, right? um, I mean, entity in the sense who are handling the artifact, right? A developer who is building those artifacts, right? On the right side, if you see, it's a end user who is going to consume those artifacts, right? The signed artifact. And other components which are supporting this signing ecosystem, right? And so if you look at this Fulcio, which is a signing authority or certificate authority, it is similar to our root CA authority that we saw in a PKI web PKI slide, right? Now, so how this flow look like, right? So when developers build any artifact, right, they will be having private key and public key, right? So what they are going to do is that they are going to get the certificate provided by Fulcio, right, through their OCI based identification, right? And that certificate will be used to sign those artifacts, right? And the same certificate will get published on the record, which is a transparency log, right? So a brief about transparency log is kind of a record which is append only, and it will not be updated or modified, right? So it has only append operation allowed, so that and this is kind of a public record, so that everyone can track and see what are the uh, what is happening, and what are the artifacts, and what are the sign things there, right? There is no update operations, it just append only, right? So record is going to publish that signed certificate. Policio is going to publish on the record, right? And the artifacts which are signed and published will be used by the end user, right? Now, what is the end user's story, right? What they are going to do? So they have now a signed artifact, correct? And they also have the signatures, right, for that artifact. What they have to do is to two things. One is to check if that signature is valid or not, and that is done through a transparency log. They can uh, look up into the transparency log saying whether this artifact is signed using this, and whether this signature is valid or not, correct? And also they are going to validate that the cert that they are using is is valid or not through trust root, uh, which is again done through the transparency log. So that's kind of a six store foundation. uh, Going to the, I think there are a lot of adoptions happening for the six store or cosign, especially open source community are adapting the uh, s- image or artifact signing using cosign and six store. uh, I will definitely going to record the demo for six store as well, and so that it would be shared across. So that being said, I think I'm done with uh, artifact signing, and two ways we can perform the signing. Yeah. Uh,
Thank you, Bala. I think you've all already answered most of the questions, so I don't see any new
yeah.
questions in the chat box.
Good. I'm happy to answer. I think I'm available on the Discord community or on the LinkedIn. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bala. Thank you so much, Srinivas, for joining the session. It was wonderful to have you both, and looking forward to many more sessions with you.
Thank you so much.
It's always nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much to the wonderful audience for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah.